Hey folks, Matthew Lanigan here with BayWa RE. We're just going to give it another minute or two. I see people still signing in, and we'll be with you here shortly. Thanks so much. Hey folks, Matthew Lanigan here again with BayWa RE. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at BayWa. Really appreciate y'all taking the time to be with us here today. Just a couple of housekeeping notes before we hand things over to Sol-Ark. This will be recorded, so you can find it on our new YouTube channel. So I would encourage you all to sign up there. You can see this webinar and past ones of all the other companies we've worked with as well. It'll also get shared in our monthly price list newsletter. So that'll come out next week, so it'll be there as well. You'll notice you can enter questions in the bottom right corner. We'll do our best to answer in real time. So if you can just put your questions in there, that would be great. Continuing education is very important for BayWa as a quality, and really happy to be able to share it with you folks here today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce David Parker with Sol-Ark Sales Director, and Mark Crinella, Technical Sales Engineer. Gentlemen. Hi guys, if you're there, you might be on mute. Hi David or Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I might have had a little internet blip there. How's everyone doing? My name is Mark Crinella. I work in technical sales here at Sol-Ark, joined by my colleague David Parker. He's going to be our West Coast sales distribution management. David, are you there? Might be having some technical difficulties.
Hey David, you may need to log out and log back in. I don't know if you can hear me. And Mark, you can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Everything's working fine here.
Can you hear me now?
We
Hello,
can.
there we go. All right.
Mic check.
Yep.
Great.
Testing.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Testing.
All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. He's rejoining shortly here.
Hello,
Hello.
There we go. There you loud and clear.
Matthew. Can you hear me?
I can.
Mark Crinella, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, somebody typed in they can hear me. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and screen share. All right, we hear me loud and clear. Excellent. Well, let's back up to bus one here and we'll go right here. So very apologetic for the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Parker. I'm joined by my colleague, Mark Crinella. Very happy to be here. Many thanks to BayWa for organizing this. And without any further ado, we will cut right to it. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to go over Sol-Ark a little bit as a company. We'll talk about why we think Sol-Ark's technology has some features and benefits and advantages over some of the competition. We'll talk a little bit about the culture and the focus of our company, what we're trying to do here as a team at Sol-Ark. We do have a very distributor-friendly model. We have excellent customer support, and we will continue to kind of walk that walk throughout our days at Sol-Ark. We will go over the current models that we have. We're going to go over some new products that are coming out, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some installer outreach, and then we will have questions from there. So thank you very much for being here. So Solarx history is we started in 2013 in Dallas, Texas. We started in a little town in Dallas called Parker, Texas. Dallas is a big collection of cities. The company was founded by veterans, and the engineers that started the company had really deep experience in power electronics, hardware, and software design, as well as a pretty good amount of tenure in the semiconductor industry. So we started the company in 2013, and in 2017, we came out with the 8K. The 8K was an all-in-one design. It had a lot of features and a lot of functionality built into it. So that was very popular. Everybody was kind of taken aback, going, wow, you know, the most popular thing we hear when somebody looks at a picture of a Sol-Ark installation is, where's all the other stuff? we laugh. All the stuff is in the inverter. We tried to make as much of it integrated into the inverter as we could. So the 8K was very well received. We got a lot of feedback from the market. As we went through 2017, 2018, the market was talking to us like the market does. The installers talk to us, homeowners talk to us, our distributors talk to us, and everybody kept saying, okay, bigger, more power, faster, more power, faster. So the answer to that was the 12K. 12K came out in 2019 and has really established itself as the go-to industry standard for hybrid inverter workhorses. It's very popular. It's got a lot of power, and you can stack it to size in both the residential context and a light commercial context. So the 12K was super popular. What we continued to hear from the marketplace was we want to do more stuff. And we really kept hearing three magical words: whole home backup. When there's a proverbial moment in every solar installer's, business when they're trying to sell the solar system to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and they say to the couple, well, sir and ma'am, what would you like to run when the grid goes down? Once the topic of battery backup comes along, and Mr. and Mrs. Johnson look at the installer and they say, we want to run everything. And the installer says, well, that's going to get expensive. It's never been very possible, but we are going to bring the world whole home backup. We'll talk more about that as we move forward. Also coming out of 2019, we started to develop strategic partnerships We have companies that build other products like EV charging stations or remote power in a box applications for telecom, oil and gas, the military, etc. So we had a lot of integration going on in 2020. We were very excited. The 12K was rocking and rolling across those 2 years. And in 2021, just last year, we moved out of the facility that we grew up in Parker, Texas, and we moved into a 95,000 square foot building in Plano, Texas. So now we have a really big building. We have a battery lab. We have a training wall for installers that come visit us at our facility. We do lots of in-house, in-person training. And so this year, 2022, we're a 1 quarter in. We just wrapped up Q1. And we are very excited to be launching new products this year. And we're also expanding into Central and South America. So this is a little slide that talks about why Sol-Ark inverters. First off, we designed our inverters to be agnostic to the other gear. We want to put the installers in the driver's seat and the homeowners in the driver's seat in terms of designing a system that they want, that they need, and will accomplish their goals and their desires. We didn't want to lock anybody into, got to use this battery, got to use that battery, got to use these panels, got to use that generator. So we were the exact opposite of that. We want you to be able to use any solar panel. You just have to watch your voltage open circuit when stringing to the MPPT controllers. You can use any battery. We don't care about the brand. We don't care about the type, and we don't care about the chemistry. You can use gel batteries, AGM batteries, lithium ferrophosphate batteries, flow batteries, fuel cells, anything you got, as long as it's 48 volt. And then on the generator, as long as it's a 120, 240 volt generator, we don't care what generator. It could be a Kohler, it could be a Briggs & Stratton, it could be a Century Pro, might be a Generac, could be one of those little ones, a Honda that you got off a Harbor Freight or something you throw in the back of the pickup truck when you go fishing or camping. We don't care. If it's 120, 240 volt and we can get a 2-wire start kit on it, you can use any generator. So the philosophy for us as military-minded, designers of hardware is, look, if this panel's on sale, use that one. If you can get these batteries, but you can't get those batteries, use those. If you can get that generator that's not on a 6-month backlog, but all these others are on a 6-month backlog, use that one. If you got a brother-in-law that's at one of these companies that's going to give you a super sweetheart deal, use that one. We want to put you in the driver's seat. So any solar panels, any battery, any generator. What we do in Sol-Ark, we only do 2 things really well. We like to keep our goals high level because we're Texans and we're really smart, but we don't like to tell too many people that. What we do though is we bring everybody in the world best in class technology and world-class customer support. Those 2 things. That's what we do at Sol-Ark, and we do it well. Open ADR 2.0. That is a VPP. It's a communication standard that allows the utility companies to talk to your inverter and potentially talk to your batteries. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. IEEE 2030.5 is the same thing. Those are the 2 main protocol standards there for VPP functionality. And lastly, we have a monitoring solution that comes with our inverters that is free for the customer. It's free for the installer. It's free for life. Nobody's ever going to be charged for it. And not only does our solution provide you access, it provides you visibility, but it also provides you remote control. We have a lot of Sol-Ark inverters that are involved in other residences. It might be a beach house, or maybe it's a lake house, or perhaps it's a bunker, but it's not a primary residence. So the people that own the lake house, or the people that own the beach house, or the people that own the bunker can look at their systems at these other residences on their phone from their primary residence and be able to have, again, access, visibility, and complete remote control. Very popular monitoring solution. Great functionality. David Myler, why don't you walk us through this slide, please, sir?
Be happy to. Can everybody hear me okay?
I just threw that as a surprise.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So,
Amy?
You got me, David? Yeah, I don't think he can hear. So Sol-Ark has got the customer and the installer and the distributors back, as Mr. Parker was just telling us. We're going to provide the tools to save the customers and the solar installation companies money. We're an all-in-one system, so there's a whole lot less BOS that has to be purchased in order to install our inverter. So we also have a solar panel sizing tool and battery calculator on our website to help both the consumer and the installer to size everything correctly. We do complimentary design reviews by our support team. They just send it into us and we'll walk them through and make sure that everything is correct. Live engineering support 7 days a week. We're known for that. We are very, very customer centric, not just for the customer, but obviously for the installer. And that goes to our distributors as well. So we want to make sure that we're doing our best to take care of everybody who has anything to do with Sol-Ark. And then we're going to help with ongoing monitoring and troubleshooting assistance as well. We do that through FieldView, which is a online site, so we can look and see what's going on with each of the inverters that are out in the field, and we can help determine if there are problems, what those problems are.
Excellent. Thank you very much, David. I took advantage of those few moments and got my audio all situated. So thank you very much. Appreciate
Glad
that.
to help.
So we do have a distributor-friendly model. This may or may not matter to you as an installer or a homeowner, but it does actually help the Sol-Ark world move efficiently. We have low MOQs for initial orders. Again, we have world-class customer support. The support that we bring the world doesn't matter where you are in the Sol-Ark ecosystem. That's what we like to call it, the Sol-Ark ecosystem. We're all in it together. The distributors, such as BayWa, have a super valuable role in the ecosystem. The installers that go into BayWa and select the gear and buy the gear and put it in the trucks and take it out into the world to install it, they have an incredibly valuable role in the whole thing. The homeowners and the business owners that ultimately buy everything, same thing. So when it comes to Sol-Ark support, we recognize where you are in the ecosystem. Are you an installer? Are you a distributor? Are you a home or business owner? Everybody gets the same support. Any questions you got about our inverters, how do you use it, how do you connect the generator, how do you stack them, whatever you got, everybody gets support from us. Everybody gets a direct relationship with us. We love to do staff training. We've done staff training with BayWa before. We like to do installer outreach, such as the one we're doing now. We always like to continually innovate. We will be proving that as we move forward in this presentation. We've got a family of hybrid inverters that we're expanding upon. We've got a family of micro inverters that we're going to be launching here in the near future. We've got a family of string inverters we hadn't even told anybody about yet. And we have some load management coming out in the form of a smart load panel with 14 100 amp circuits. So we've got some really good innovation coming for the rest of this summer. We look forward to that. We also like to partner up with our distributors, our installers, our homeowners, et cetera, the whole ecosystem when we're out on the road. Intersolar was a great success in Long Beach, California in January. SPI is going to be in Anaheim. We just wrapped up NABCEP in Phoenix last week. Those are great events. We look forward to it. We look forward to seeing everybody in Anaheim at SPI if you can make it. We're super happy. We have a new toy. We have a large Mercedes Sprinter van that we purchased, and we're going to wrap it with Sol-Ark. It got wrapped yesterday. I've not seen it yet, but I can't wait to. And we're going to turn it into a rolling power plant / demo lab, training lab, and we're going to take it over to San Diego and run it up the West Coast, and we're going to take it over to Miami and go up the East Coast, and we're going to take it up the middle of the country as well. So it's going to spend a lot of time out on the road training people on Sol-Ark. Super happy about that. And we like to have fun when we're out traveling around. So I mentioned before customer support. We only do two things here really well at Sol-Ark because we like to keep it kind of high level. We do best-in-class technology and world-class customer support. We like the Energy Sage website. These reviews you see on this slide come from the Energy Sage website. Energy Sage has a good website, lots of information about inverters and solar panels and batteries and so forth. Really information-rich website. We are very happy to be on top of this list. You can see the companies that are listed underneath us. We love these guys, all great companies working hard to put good products out. Sol-Ark has been on top of this list since the day I walked in the company. I've been here about, I don't know, 16, 17 months, and we have never not been on top of this list. All we do is focus on best-in-class technology and world-class customer support. The people that left us these reviews personally experienced that from us. They understand what we're talking about. They felt it in their lives. They called us on Sunday for a tricky install, or they had a problem, or they wanted to just say, hey, it works great. Everything went great. Install went great. All the functionality is perfect. But whatever the case is, these 155 people felt so good about what they'd experienced that they went to Energy Sage and left us 5-star reviews. So super happy about that. And we will continue doing everything that we can to keep that up. So our inverters, as I mentioned before, are very versatile. We tried to really pack a lot of functionality and features into them. So the first thing that they can do is they are capable, and this goes for the whole family of hybrid inverters, right? The 5K, the 8K, the 12K, and the 15K. They are capable of multiple grid frequencies. We can do 50 hertz grids or 60 hertz grids. So 50 hertz grids is outside of the US, 60 hertz grids in the US. And then we are capable of multiple service voltages. So the multiple service voltages can be 220 single phase, which is not listed on this slide, but it's kind of rare. We can do 120, 240 split phase, which is the predominant residential voltage in the US. And we can do 120, 208 volt 3-phase, which is considered a light commercial voltage. It is 3-phase, but it's not 480 volt. We also have a lot of functionality built in, such as arc fault and ground fault. Again, when you look at the installs of the Sol-Ark, and the question is, where's all the other stuff? We tried to build as many breakers and fault tolerance and all kinds of things into the design as we could, which is why it is referred to as an all-in-one hybrid inverter. We have a lot of grid-tied functionality. So first and foremost, it's really meant to be a grid-tied inverter. We can sell power to the grid. If you're in a market where you don't want to sell power to the grid, then we have zero export, which is for that. If you're in a market that has a time of use rate structure, we can handle that, and we can save you money with your battery system and your PV. If you're in a market that has kW demand charges, we can help you with that. We can use your PV and your batteries to go out and a generator to go after the grid peak shaving and lower your bill. And lastly, through OpenADR 2.0 and IEEE 2030.5, these kinds of communication protocols, we can enable VPP functionality, which stands for Virtual Power Plant. There's a slide coming up on VPP later. We'll kind of explain that a little bit deeper. We also have the fastest transfer time in the business. Our inverters, with all of the functionality here, right? Your 120, 240 split phase, 60 hertz grid. Let's say you've got a time of use rate structure, and you're selling extra power to the grid, and you're participating in a VPP program. You can do all of that at once. If the grid goes away in 5.5 milliseconds, you're off grid. And 5.5 milliseconds is really fast. It's considered UPS grade. Anything under 7 milliseconds is UPS grade. And it is so fast that the clock on the microwave and all of your little alarm clocks throughout your house, they won't even know it happened. Nothing's going to be blinking at you. You lose power, you switch over to your Sol-Ark and your batteries and your PV and everything, and the house doesn't even know what happened. Really fast. And when we do switch off grid, you have complete functionality. All of your solar system, your generator, your batteries, whatever you've got hooked up to the Sol-Ark, all of those systems are available to you, either connected to the grid or not connected to the grid. We also are very easy to retrofit. One of the other features of our inverter is that it can DC couple and AC couple. And real quick explanation of what those are. If you install a Sol-Ark new, you put a solar system on the house and you run the PV wires down into the Sol-Ark and you bring them in, that's called DC coupling, right? You still have direct current coming off of the solar panels. So there's nothing between the solar panels and the Sol-Ark. The wires just come in and you have DC power. So that's what we call DC coupling. However, if somebody had an existing solar system and they already had another inverter, let's say they had a SolarEdge inverter, maybe they had an SMA inverter, perhaps they had N-phase microinverters. In any one of those cases, none of which would work with energy storage, right? So the SMA Sunny Boy is not going to work with your energy storage. SolarEdge isn't, unless you got the StoraEdge model, and the N-phase microinverter is definitely not. So in that case, if the customer wants energy storage, they can get a Sol-Ark inverter and batteries, and then what they do is they AC couple. So the power coming off of, let's take an example where they have N-phase microinverters, and they got 10 kilowatts on the roof. So they got 10 kilowatts on the roof. The microinverters are mounted under those panels and are already inverting the DC power to AC. So it's already being inverted on site at the panel level by the microinverters. So what's coming down the wire to the Sol-Ark is going to be AC power. So the Sol-Ark has the ability to DC couple if you want to bring solar directly into it, and it has the ability to AC couple if you want to hook it up to another inverter and then bring in the functionality of managing energy storage, as well as a generator. So the advantage is if you had 10 kilowatts with microinverters, you can hook up a Sol-Ark, you can hook up a bunch of batteries, and you can hook up a generator. And now you're kind of really off-grid capable. So that's the functionality that we bring to existing systems via our capability of AC coupling. And last but not least, we are agnostic to the batteries, as we mentioned before. Well, a couple things. On the generators, no matter what generator you have, you need a 2-wire start kit. If it's the smaller generators, you can get a start kit online. And if it's the bigger generators, the whole home ones that come on a concrete pad next to your house, they will typically have a 2-wire start kit, or perhaps it's an option. But any generator that can get a 2-wire start kit on it, then we can start it, 120, 240 volt. The batteries, we are agnostic to the batteries, but we have a number of battery partners that we've looked at their company. We've looked at the batteries. We've kind of financially checked them out. How old are they? What's their technology like? Then we look at the physical battery itself. We look at the cells. We look at the form factor, the structure, the wiring, the grounding. And then we look at the BMS, which stands for Battery Management System. If we believe in all that, we believe in the company, we believe in the technology, the battery's good, the BMS is good, then we ask the company, hey, please send us a battery or two to our lab and we'll send you an inverter. So inverter goes to them, battery comes to us. We get our 2 engineering teams together and we establish what's called closed loop communications, or otherwise known as full communications. So there are 2 examples you see on this slide, Fortress and Home Grid. That's just 2. I think there's probably 12 or 14 battery companies that we have full comms with. So please check our website. Again, we want to give you a lot of battery choices, and we do the full communication so that the inverter allows all of the features and functionality of the BMS to do its job. They specifically designed the battery management system to manage that battery. So in that case, if it's a good BMS, what we want the Sol-Ark to do is just talk to the BMS, and that's why we do closed loop communications. Mark, anything to add to that? Maybe more technical?
In regards to the BMS, no, you've covered it
full
all.
comms. Yeah, full comms. Why is it a good thing?
Again, yeah, you covered it all. We have multiple battery partners that we have closed loop communications with, which will help utilize the battery the way the battery manufacturer wants it to be used. So it's going to help elongate the life of that battery. It's going to be cycling efficiency, and it's going to be within its parameters. So it should not fault with using BMS communications.
Yeah. All right.
Hi, guys. We have a couple of quick questions.
Sure, yeah.
Any plans to support non-traditional energy storage chemistries? Example, iron air flow?
Yeah, the chemistry is no issue. As long as that's a 48 volt battery, we'll be able to provide power to charge it and discharge that. As far as closed loop communications, that's a different story. We have to work with each battery partner specifically in order to get closed loop communications work.
Yeah, what Mark said was perfectly accurate on that one. Anything 48 volt we can work with. So if it's fuel cell, iron, aqueous, these batteries that operate on rust, there's all kinds of cool exotic batteries. So if it's 48 volt, we could technically work with it. But then to Mark's point with full communication, the battery has to kind of come out of the test tube and get out into the world in a real production live fire environment before we're going to do full comms.
Okay, and then two other questions. Will Sol-Ark be UL 9540 compliant with any battery choice?
Yes. I think we should be UL 9540 with home grid by now. I'll have to check on that. I know Discover was working on UL 9540, and I think Endure Energy is working on 9540. Mark, any others I'm missing?
Simplify as well. And I think Fortress is in the process as well.
Yeah, so I think there's about 5: Simplify, Fortress, Discover, Home Grid, and Endure Energy are all pursuing UL 9540.
Great. And last question, great customer service so far. Any plans for real-time monitoring options?
We would like to do that in the future. Right now, it's a bit of a real-time monitoring is a data hog. So it would slow down our customers' bandwidth. So until we find a solution, right now our data monitoring takes data every 5 minutes and it averages out those data points. But hopefully we can get that in the future.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, thank you, Mark. That's a great question. It is something that is, as they say, on the radar. All right, so we have 3 inverter models presently, and they are the 5K, the 8K, and the 12K. Mark, you want to maybe give us an overview of the technical differences here real quick? Pretty please.
Okay. So touching on the main difference between the 3 units, I'm just going to start with the parallel stacking. Both our 5K and 8K inverters are standalone units. They cannot be stacked. Our only stackable unit is our Sol-Ark 12K and then soon to be 15K as well. That Sol-Ark 12K can stack 8 in parallel in a 120/240 configuration, or up to 9 units if you use 208 3-phase. Other points or differences between the inverters would be the amount of DC solar that you can put into each MPPT. For the 5K, it's 6,500 watts. The 8K is 11,000 watts, and the 12K is 13,000 watts. And then the largest difference of the inverters is the AC output. The 5K and 8K are true to their name with 5 kilowatts and 8 kilowatts of AC output. While the 12K has a 9 kilowatt AC output, we can still utilize 12 kilowatts of solar simultaneously. It's how we got the 12K name. We can do 3 kilowatts of DC charging to the battery continuously while outputting 9 kilowatts. And that's how we named our 12K inverter. Other than that, each unit will come in the exact same casing, a NEMA 3R rated, so outdoor rated. It's resistant to water and dust, so no worries there. And then the slight warranty difference between the 3. The 5K and 8K come standard with a 5-year warranty, and the 12K comes with a 10-year warranty. The only extendable warranty we have is the 8K. You can extend that from 5 years to 10 years.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And the 5K and the 8K, I think Mark mentioned, are single unit only solutions. So the 2 that parallel are the 12K and the 15K, but just want to reinforce that. So without any further ado, let's talk about our new products. This is the 15K. So Mark, I'll let you continue. You did a great job of the last one.
Yeah, sure thing. Our 15K is going to be true to its name as well. We're going to have a 15 kilowatt AC output with solar and batteries. If you're just using batteries at night, it's going to be limited to 12 kilowatts of discharge from that battery bank. When tying in DC solar, we've now added a 3rd MPPT to the Sol-Ark 15K. So you can actually have up to 17 kilowatts of DC solar and then 19 kilowatts of AC coupled solar. That's not going to go directly to the MPPTs. That's going to go directly to the AC connections of the inverter. And both can be utilized at the same time. Our peak power is going to be 24 kilowatts or 100 amps continuously. And then our continuous charging, I believe it's 250 amps. So I'll double check on that stat right there at 285. It should be 12 kilowatts continuously. Again, our supported voltages are 120/240 split phase, 208 3-phase, or to a 220 volt single phase, and we can arrange our frequency from 50 to 60 hertz. It is going to be parallel stackable as well, and it's going to be up to 12 units. That means you can have a continuous total output of 180 kilowatts. That's enough to power a small Walmart. It's going to come with a 10-year warranty and then a NEMA 3R enclosure as well. It's going to be a little larger than our 12K unit. It's going to have about 20 extra pounds of weight added into it and about an inch more in depth, but it's going to look very similar to our previous units.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And the one thing that we like to keep as a surprise that we didn't have on this slide is that, drum roll, it has a 200 amp switch built in. The reason that's important is because we think at Sol-Ark there's about 90 million homes in America with a 200 amp main panel. It's the most predominant size panel there is. Smaller homes, 100 amp panel, 150 amp panel, sure. Larger homes, 400 amp panels. Really big homes, 600 amp panels. Most of us have a 200 amp panel. Probably most people on this call have a 200 amp panel in your home. Well, now we have 200 amp bypass capability straight through the inverter that matches up to your main distribution panel. So what we're going for between this product and the next product is whole home backup. And so we're going to literally achieve that dream for everybody. So this is the next.
We have a follow-up question here.
Yes,
do you mean
please.
200 amp transfer switch inside?
Yes. Mark, am I correct on that? I'm the sales guy. You got to keep me honest.
Yeah, it's actually a 200 amp AC bus. That means we can pass through 200 amps or 4,000 or 48 kilowatts worth of power, depending on what sources you have that come from. So yes, it'll have a 200 amp AC bus, but we still have our internal transfer switch, which disconnects us from the grid and isolates the load output of the inverter. So there's no need for an external transfer switch. We are rated for 200 amps of pass through.
Okay, and someone else is asking, is the 1700 watt DC solar correct?
That is correct. It'll be 3 MPPTs that can take up to 17 kilowatts of DC solar.
And
Yeah,
one more question.
17,000 watts, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And one last question. Can your software derate the 15 kilowatt unit to 10 kilowatt AC max output? There are micro DG rules in Ontario, Canada that limit small projects to 10 kilowatt AC.
Yeah, so we can reduce the sell back to the utility, and that's what they're typically worried about. We can control that sell back to a value of anywhere from 1 watt to 15 kilowatts or 15,000 watts. It will be an adjustable amount, but you will not be able to control the load output amount of the inverter. So the sell back can be controlled, but not the load output.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, by all means, thank you very much for the questions. We appreciate the questions and we'll answer anything you got. So this is the companion product with the 15K. And I'm going to turn the mic back over to Mark and let him walk us through this. It's called the SmartLoads 14.
Yeah, we have a wonderful device coming out here shortly, hopefully sooner than later. It's going to be a 14-channel smart load device, or what it's going to do is load shedding or load prioritization. Each channel is going to be able to pass through 100 amps, or they're rated for 100 amps, but you can do 80 amps continuously. It's going to be able to learn your load profiles over time, and you're going to be able to program that as well. We'll have different priorities or presets that you can make based off the battery state of charge, based off time of day and through time of use. For net zeroing abilities and grid peak shaving, we can make those presets adjust for the smart loads. It does use AI to suggest settings after 14 days of learning. It will suggest, when and track your electrical usage and tell you, when to close relays, when not to. And it's going to be a very reliable product as well. There's 2 power supplies, so you do get redundancy inside. It's going to be the same outdoor rating as our inverter, a NEMA 3R case, and it's going to have a manual bypass switch in case of any failure as well.
Thank you, Mark. And now for another trick up our sleeve as far as continuing innovation from Sol-Ark, we have microinverters because we didn't feel like leaving Enphase out of the fight. So we have an M1000 and an M2000 microinverter. The 1000 is a 1000 watt microinverter that has 2 MPPTs, so you can connect 2 solar panels to it. The M2000 is a 2000 watt micro, and you can connect 4 solar panels to it. You can connect panels up to 600 watts to these. I'm pretty sure that makes these the most powerful microinverters in the world. As far as the output voltages, you can see that there, 208 and 240. There's an asterisk there, and down at the bottom, you can get 120, 240 volt with an auto transformer. It can do both of the grid frequencies as well, 50 and 60 hertz. It has a 95% CEC round trip efficiency. We did a few things. If you went back a few slides, we really look after the Sol-Ark ecosystem, and we look after our installers and the homeowners. We try to as best we can. So when we look at the competition in the microinverter world, it looked like there was a bill of materials for the microinverter, right? It's like, okay, I need 10 microinverters and some of these male ends and some of these female ends, and I need some of these wire trunk cables, and I need a gateway, and I need some Wi-Fi, and I need this, and I need that. You kind of put this whole bill of materials together for your microinverters, which we kind of thought was a little weird. So our microinverters have a few things that are included. First off, we included the Wi-Fi. Second off, we included a 4-meter trunk cable, so a nice long trunk cable. Thirdly, we included 50 amp fused connections. All of these are included. And there's a 10-year warranty, and you can see the weight listed there. These are going to be coming out probably closer to the June, July timeframe. They're being worked on right now. Mark, did I leave anything off the micros, you think?
No, it's going to be a fantastic solution. Again, 2 and 4 channels, a wonderful wattage range. I mean, it's kind of hard to find residential panels at 600 watts nowadays. So you can get a very high wattage panel into those micros, and they're going to be rather efficient. And the cost versus our competitors will probably blow you away on the time of release.
The philosophy of the microinverters is that, again, we want to give everybody flexibility. If you want to do if you're listening to this call and you got a client or you're a homeowner and you want to do a solar system that doesn't have batteries, and you don't need energy storage for anything, then we want to have a solution for you. It's like, okay, well, you use the Sol-Ark microinverters, rock and roll. There you go. Now, if you have a solar system and you have batteries and you have a Sol-Ark now, and maybe you want to expand it, let's say the 15K, right? Let's say you load up, 17 kilowatts coming into the 15K, DC coupled, and then later you do an expansion on your home and you add another room, and you say, you know what, I'd like to add 6 more kilowatts. So you put 6 more kilowatts up on the roof, or you do a ground mount, and you put microinverters on those, and you bring that in AC coupled. So now you've got the full 17 kilowatts DC coupled. You bring in another 5, 6, whatever you want AC coupled, then you can do those at the same time. So it represents either a good expansion play on an existing system, or if you want to do a system that does not involve batteries and energy storage, you can use the microinverters just straight away. But we wanted to kind of round out the Sol-Ark family of inverter options, and we felt that microinverters was kind of a missing piece for us.
Couple of quick questions, guys. Is there a Sunspec transmitter built in to the Sol-Ark?
For rapid shutdown, we will not have a Sunspec transmitter. What we provide is a 12-volt connection. So for Sunspec, typically that's for rapid shutdown, I believe. We only provide a 12-volt power supply for rapid shutdown transmitters. Other than that, we typically suggest just use a third party, typically like Tigo or AP Smart. Those are going to be common rapid shutdown devices used with our inverter.
We carry those, so that's great. And one other question, how does it communicate over Wi-Fi?
Well, we communicate to a server base, and that server relays back to our applications, whether it be the app or the web-based browser. It's going to allow you to use our monitoring app called PV Pro. Oh, and sorry, I missed out. We have a Wi-Fi dongle that connects to the inverter. As you can see right here on the slide, it's on the left-hand side plugged into the inverter. If you don't need a Wi-Fi connection, feel free to unplug it. But if you'd like remote monitoring and settings changes, you can have that plugged in. Oh, if you're talking about the micros as well, that's no gateway needed. It has a built-in Wi-Fi antenna.
Oh, and sorry, one other option. Can you get the 15 kilowatt unit in the EMP hardened option?
That is an excellent question and very popular. As soon as we finish the ULs and CEC, we get it all ready for California Rule 21, and we can then get it into the markets. We will be taking the 15K into the lab and working on the EMP hardening. We do not expect that to be ready till closer to the end of the year. First off, we're not 100% sure of the results, so we're not promising the world an EMP 15K, but we are going to try to get it there. And if it is, it'll be towards the end of the year. Any other ones, Matthew?
Oh, we're good for now. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. We appreciate the questions. Thank you, everybody, for asking questions. This slide kind of gives you the vision of the whole home backup, right? So you've got the meter over here on the far right side of the slide. You got the utility meter. You do have, there's a 200 amp disconnect switch. Then you come into the Sol-Ark 15K. You might have a generator connected to it as it shows down at the bottom. What you're looking at is these ESP batteries from Endure Energy. That could be a home grid battery. It could be a Fortress battery. It could be a Simplify battery, Discover battery. It doesn't matter. Any of our great battery partners. And you can see the outline coming out of the Sol-Ark coming into the main distribution panel. Well, the way the SmartLoad works is kind of an interrupt style, where you would go to this first circuit up here in the top left that says dryer, if for example, and you would disconnect that breaker, run the wires down to the first circuit of the SmartLoad, and then run them back up to that breaker. And then you would come down and you would do the water heater, and you would do the air conditioning 1 and air conditioning 2, etc. So you do that for the top 14 circuits in your panel. So what the SmartLoad does is it replaces the need for an essential loads panel or a critical loads panel. It just throws that in the trash. The whole concept is now just benign and something in the rearview mirror. If you have 14 circuits you can bring out of your main distribution panel and have real-time dynamic control over them with the SmartLoads panel, you don't need a critical loads panel. But it does two things for you. Number one, if you go off grid, it obviously lets the power from the Sol-Ark come over here to these top 14 circuits and run everything, and it can load shed and turn stuff on and off so that breakers aren't tripping and so forth. That's what it does. It also allows you to have access to the whole panel. So previously in an off-grid situation, you're like, well, here's my critical loads panel and I brought these 8 circuits over here. And then inevitably a homeowner would say to me, in my solar experience, they would say, Parker, I forgot the light in the garage, or I forgot the circuit with my security cameras, or I forgot the light outside in the back patio, or I forgot the light over on the side of the garage. Or, there's always one circuit or a couple of circuits that they forgot they might need during a power out event, but they didn't put them in the critical loads panel. But once you've done the critical loads panel, it's difficult to do anything about it, right? If you want to add a circuit, you got to get your master electrician back over there and you hardwire everything. All of that is gone. Just throw it all away. You have the SmartLoads with the 15K. You have whole home backup. Just add batteries. You've got access to the top 14, which you can dynamically control to the nth degree. And then you have access to the rest of the service panel. You didn't have to make any choices about this light bulb or that light bulb or this outlet or that outlet when it comes to what you can run off grid. We really want to free everybody from all this weird, antiquated thinking. It's like you need a SmartLoad 14, you need a 15K, just add batteries, and you've got whole home backup. That's the dream. That's what we've been working hard over here in Texas to deliver to the world. And so we think we're there. The 15K, we are taking pre-orders from all of our distributors at 8 a.m. Monday morning, April 11th. We're pretty excited about that down here in Texas, because Monday morning we're all going to get some coffee and say, all right, let's see how fast this thing sells. So they're open to the pre-order window Monday morning, April 11th, and the 15K should be shipping the first week in May with all UL certifications. And then we're going after the SmartLoads and the micros to kind of launch those sequentially. Lots and lots of great work going on down here in Sol-Ark to really open up whole home backup for the world. VPP. We mentioned earlier that there are a couple of, actually there's three of the most popular ones that we know of. Open ADR 2.0, 2.0B is now the standard, IEEE 2030.5, and OATI. We have Open ADR 2.0B now. IEEE 2030.5 is being worked on by our team, and OATI is being worked on by our team. So this is how this works. Let's take a big city, San Antonio, Texas, like 2 million people. And let's say there's 100,000 people in San Antonio, Texas that have solar systems. And out of that, 10,000 of them have batteries. They have a battery backup system with Sol-Ark inverters. So the utility company in San Antonio is called CPS Energy. So CPS Energy could create a VPP plan, a virtual power plant plan, and they could say, okay, here's how it works, here's the rules and everything, etc. And then they go to these 10,000 people with batteries. They approach them and say, hey, we're your utility company. We know you got a battery system. Would you like to participate in our VPP program? And then you get to look at what they're offering and how it works and whatnot. Essentially, the utility can look at your energy storage system. They can, using OpenADR 2.0 B, for example, they can look at the state of charge of your batteries. They say, oh, Mr. Parker, you've got 20 kilowatt hours of batteries there. Looks like your state of charge is 95%. So in Texas, when it gets hot outside, or perhaps it's February and it's really cold outside, and the grid needs trouble, which from time to time we do in Texas and California and other states, then the utility company can go in and drain the battery. They can go in and get my electrons. Now, they're not going to violate my native settings at my house. So if my batteries are set up to where the state of charge at the bottom is 30% and at the top is 95%, 100%, they look at the batteries, they say it's 100%, and they want to take some electrons, they'll take it down to whatever state of charge you have programmed as the floor. They won't violate your local settings. When they do that, there's a meter, they're counting kilowatt hours going each way. I get paid. It's another way for a homeowner or business owner to directly participate in the energy markets and receive compensation for your system. So selling power to the grid on just regular grid cell net metering, you can make money. The VPP program, you can make money. Demand response is kind of the other side of VPP. VPP involves them taking electrons. You have actual energy, they're going to take it and put it out on the grid because they need it. Demand response is kind of the opposite, where they look at your home and they say, hey, your air conditioner is currently set at 68 degrees, and we're going to turn that up to 72 degrees, or we're going to turn this off, or we're going to regulate that. So on the demand response side, they are controlling what's going on in your house. Example of that's the Nest thermostat, right? The Nest thermostat came out, and the utility could interact with the Nest thermostat and say, hey, I want put Mr. Parker's air conditioner up on 76 degrees, so he doesn't use as much power during this hot August day in Texas. Well, the SmartLoad 14 panel enables all of this. These communication protocols are the software that lets things talk to each other. But the hardware, the SmartLoad, is a Nest thermostat on steroids, right? So the Nest thermostat, you can control one air conditioner. Well, with the SmartLoads, you can control air conditioner 1, air conditioner 2, air conditioner 3 if they've got it, the pool pump, the well pump, the EV charger, a hot water heater, and 6 other things. So it really represents a really solid amount of load management. And these software communication protocols allow the utility companies to interact with you. None of it's mandatory. If you don't want the utility company to take any electrons out of your battery or do anything with your thermostats, just don't sign up. There's nothing draconian about this. If you want to sign up, you can help the grid, etc. The reason it's really cool is because whenever the utility company would take electrons from your battery, let's just stick with the VPP side. If they're going to do that, that means the grid's in trouble, right? It's a really hot day, 5 o'clock, everybody's turning their air conditioners on in August in Texas. That's usually when the grid gets in trouble. Or, you know, it's a cold day in February, like last year we had the snowpocalypse. The point being that the utility needs the help, the grid needs the help, the consumer has the electricity, and guess what happens when the grid needs help? All the prices go up. In Texas, we have a $9,000 megawatt hour limit. And so when the grid is in trouble and they're telling everybody to turn on generators and turn stuff off, and they're enacting all the demand response stuff across the state, power is at a premium price. So the only time this happens is when power is expensive, and that's when the utility needs it the most. So it's really a nice symbiotic thing. The consumer wins, the local utility wins, the grid wins, the environment wins, everybody wins, as long as you're, you know, willing to play with the VPP program and let them have your electrons. Some people like it, some people don't, but what we do is enable the communication through those software. So some takeaways here. Our unit is very versatile. We feel that we have all kinds of great functionality on grid, and we have good functionality off grid, and we get you from on grid to off grid really fast. And we've got all kinds of retrofit, you know, options. We're innovative. We do have some different things coming out that's going to be innovated, particularly the micros, the sophisticated load management, etc. Our system is very simple. When you get down to it, it's amazing how much functionality is built in, and then how easy it is. There's 3 parts to installing a Sol-Ark. You hang it on the wall, you wire it, and you program it. That's it. You hang it on the wall, 2 guys lift it up, hang it on the hook, you bolt it down. Wiring it, well, electrician, you know, red wire, black wire, pay attention to what you're doing, you know, wire it all up. And then the programming, you do that with your fingertip on the touch screen. A couple of times, you know, you kind of get used to walking through it. Once you've done it a few times, we have installers that have installed, you know, 25, 30 Sol-Ark systems, 50 Sol-Ark systems. They can program these things with their fingertips in 10 minutes and be back in their truck. We're very fast and powerful. We have a 5.5 millisecond transfer time. We build in significant continuous power and surge power. We're really proud of that on the 15K. You got 15,000 watts and 24,000 watts for 10 seconds. That thing is a beast. It's also smart. We have free monitoring. We have all kinds of modes built in, again, to either save you money or make you money, time of use, peak shaving, VPP, etc. We are compliant to just about everything in the world. We have the UL certifications, UL 1741, 1741 SA, 1699. As we've talked about earlier, we're pursuing UL 9540 with several battery partners. And then we're on all the local regional lists, CEC for California, California Rule 21, SGIP, HECO for Hawaii, PREPA for Puerto Rico, etc. We do provide world-class customer support. Can't stress that enough. You know, webinars, phone calls, emails, we'll review your one-line diagram, we'll help you design a system, we'll help you size a system, we'll show you how to work the calculators, anything that we can do, whether you're a homeowner, a business owner, or an installer, or a distributor. The team Sol-Ark is 100% here for you.
And there is one other question here. Is this the SmartLoads 14 panel compatible with the 12K unit or only the 15K unit?
That's a great question. Thank you very much. So the cool thing about the SmartLoad panel, it's compatible with everything. So number one, it's not proprietary at all. It doesn't have to be used with the 12K or the 15K or the 5K or the 8K. It doesn't have to be used with Sol-Ark gear. You can use it with Enphase gear. You can use it with SMA gear. You can use it with Solar Edge gear. It doesn't have to be used with solar. It doesn't have to have solar panels and inverter. You could install it in a home by itself, and you have real-time dynamic control over those 14 circuits. Yeah, we tried to make that thing as open-ended as we could.
Great. And someone's asking if we'll carry the 15Ks and micros. Micros we haven't really seen yet, so we'll investigate that further. The 15K, absolutely. Those will come later this summer, I believe, around June. Is that correct for CSA?
No, better than that. So the CSA, as I understand it, CSA runs concurrent with the ULs. So we should be able to ship to you guys first or second week in May.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, folks, any other questions? I see it's kind of slowing down here. Give you just another couple seconds. If we don't see anything, then we'll move along. Okay, so we're not seeing anything. So thank you everybody for taking the time to be with us here today. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Sol-Ark. Fantastic support. Really appreciate it. Just a couple of notes. If you're not already signed up for our web shop and our e-com site, I would like to direct you that way. You can find pricing on there, spec sheets, warranty, install, manuals, inventory. So really great resource if you're not using that already. This was recorded. It will be up on our YouTube channel here very shortly. It'll also go out in our newsletter. If you do have more questions, please reach out to one of your sales reps. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And once again, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you, Sol-Ark. Really appreciate everything.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you to BayWa for organizing.
Take care, everyone.